For today's lore segment, I want to take you guys back deep into Elven society, ancient Elven society, because this could be very relevant going forward, especially in the Midnight expansion to come. But the images you're looking at right now, this is ELDRE'THALAS. Yes, ELDRE'THALAS. This was the capital city of Queen Azshara's highborn servitors. If you don't know who Queen Azshara is, get yourself from out from under a rock. Queen Azshara is basically confirmed to become relevant once again. We know that Midnight is going to be a very elf-focused expansion, right? It's going to be a lot of stories about the elves and all the elven societies reuniting. But what about the elven society that Azshara helped build? Because it was massive. And then specifically, ELDRE'THALAS was a very famous elven city, an ancient elven city that we've actually seen in game before. So this city was built 12,000 years ago by a covert sect of night elf sorcerers. And the interesting part about this ancient city, it was to protect Queen Azshara's most prized arcane secrets. Though it was ravaged by the great sundering of the world, much of the wondrous city still stands as the imposing Dire Maul. The ruins have been overrun by all manner of creatures, especially the spectral highborn, foul satyr, and the brutish ogres. Only the most daring party adventurers can enter the broken city and face the ancient evils locked within its ancient vaults. Now, the images you're seeing here are essentially the city before it was ever ravaged, right? These are new images that people have put together of what the city would have looked like prior to its, desecration and falling apart. Now, the interesting thing about Dire Maul is we know that this city has 3 wings, right? There are 3 parts to this place, or 3 instances, I should say. The city of ELDRE'THALAS was also known for the knowledge that was kept there. And the people who lived in it, they were known as the Shen'dralar. The interesting thing about the Shen'dralar is they were basically keepers of knowledge. They understood a lot about, ancient things going on in the world. They often looked to ancient manuscripts, and they kept, objects of power, right? They were very into searching for knowledge, interesting artifacts, and just delving into the lore of the world. One place where they kept a lot of this lore was the Athenaeum. So when you're doing the instance, we actually go into this room. It is known as the Athenaeum and is an ancient library where the most knowledgeable of these elves would stay. And a lot of this lore here gets really interesting, and this is why I think it could be relevant once again in Midnight. So the Athenaeum is an area in Dire Maul West. It is located beyond the prison of Imothar and leads to the Dire Maul North. One can access the area either through Dire Maul North or Dire Maul West, and both require a crescent key. The Athenaeum is known as the Library of the Shen'dralar, remaining in seclusion, storing lost knowledge of a multitude of shelves in the large room. This is where players turn into Librams to receive the enchants they provide. This is done by talking to lorekeeper Lyridos after completing the Elven Legends quest. Now, we've been back to this room before, believe it or not. This happened during Battle for Azeroth. During the Fourth War, Rathian traveled here to learn more about who? About the Old Gods and the Black Empire's dark magic, in order to find a way to defeat N'Zoth and turn his powers against him. He also mentioned that when the Horde invaded Dire Maul, the Highborn fled the ruins and they burned down the Athenaeum. So this place was burned to the ground, sadly. Losing a lot of, just like the stories of the Great Library of Alexandria, a lot of this knowledge was lost, unfortunately. But we know it's capable in World of Warcraft. What if, in Midnight, we go back in time and revisit this ancient city in all of its glory? I mean, I would love to go to a place that looks like some of the images. Again, these images are rendered, by fans, basically rebuilding the city from the ground up as to what it could have been in its former glory. Imagine going back to the city, visiting the Athenaeum, and realizing all the knowledge that could have been in there. All the knowledge about the old gods and the different things that we could actually see. That thought gets my salami excited, as it should. As it should. Here's the thing. This place looks cool, whether or not it be an instance, a raid, a zone. Obviously, these images give me a lot of Suramar vibes. There's something very exciting about it. I agree. Night Elven societies, Night Elven architecture, all this stuff is neat to look at. And Dire Maul, is a dungeon that a lot of us have nostalgia for back in the day. A lot of us ran it. And we ran it just seeing the ruins of what this city once looked like. But to return this city to its former glory, to go back into this library, and to get the knowledge that was lost about how to defeat the old gods, or defeat maybe even the void. Who knows what was kept on these shelves? I think could be some really cool stuff, and it fits in well with the Midnight expansion being all about elves, as has been described to us before, and really digging deep into some Azshara lore as well. So I do think this stuff could become relevant again, and I think we could, in fact, go back to ELDRE'THALAS.